Welcome to the Sam and Joe VA Show, where we teach women just like you how to create your very own in-demand virtual assistant business.
We're your hosts, Sam and Joe, and get ready to have the control, flexibility, and freedom you've always dreamed of.
Welcome to episode 48, How to Lose Clients.
Now, we're all going to lose a client at some point in our virtual assistant career. And there's many different ways that you can lose clients. We've picked the main ones, and we're going to go through those with you guys today.
Yeah, so the first one is about responsiveness. And we've got to remember that as a virtual assistant, this is a long distance relationship most of the time. You're working remotely and the client can't actually see you. Now, a client is most of the time going to be used to having people in their office right next to them. They can see them working. They can see them turn up for work. They can see them leave. Now, as a virtual assistant, you need to make sure that you are being super responsive to whatever degree that you have agreed up front with your client. You know, if you've said, hey, I answer all requests and I do the work like within 48 hours or something like that. Now, if they email you or message you and you don't respond for, 30 hours, they're going to assume that you haven't got the message or you're not there or you're not working or, something's happened. And, all of these things start going through their mind. So they want someone who they can trust is going to be there, is going to be responsive so that they can get their stuff done, their tasks done.
Yeah, this is the worst thing that you could be doing, especially for somebody that is hiring a virtual assistant for the first time, I reckon. So they've probably they may have held off for years outsourcing this way because they're worried about not having somebody right beside them that they can chat to immediately and get that immediate response. So by you then not being responsive to them, you're just kind of playing into all of their fears that they came to you with.
That's exactly right. The next one is about making promises that you can't keep. And this is such a trap, especially for women. And if you are naturally a people pleaser, you like to say yes to things and you find it really hard to say no. This is where you can fall into the trap of making promises you can't keep. So you might just on the fly just say, yeah, sure, I can get that done right now. And then you realize, oh, I've actually got to pick up my kids from school and I have another urgent task that I need to do. I'm not actually going to be able to do that. So yeah, overextending yourself, making those promises that you can't keep. It's not actually necessary. Clients don't expect you to be able to do everything urgently right there and then. And not all tasks are urgent. So be really careful about what promises you make.
Yeah, people pleasing. This is me. This is something that I've worked really hard to stop doing. But I have to, even now, I catch myself go, I'm that yes person because I want to help. I want to be able to solve the problem that they've come to me with, and I want to do it quickly, and I want to have a to-do list that hasn't got much on it. So you kind of want to do everything now. But all you're going to do is let that client down, which is not good. They might forgive you once, but if it becomes a regular occurrence and you're not following through on those promises, you're going to very quickly lose them. Next on our list is a lack of loyalty.
This one, there's a few things that can be covered under this loyalty one, and one of them is definitely confidentiality. So this client is trusting that you're going to keep their data safe, that you're going to keep their deepest, darkest secrets safe, and that you're not going to be telling other people. You might know all about their finances, and you might know their passwords. You might know that they've had a bad experience or an issue with a client that's really unhappy of theirs. And they might be going into legal situations. All of those things are really confidential and private to that client. Now, they need to be able to trust that you've got their back, that you're not going to be spreading gossip or talking about them to people and naming their company name and their names. And, that's just really not a good look.
No, a rule of thumb is, just play it really safe. Just don't talk about your clients to anybody else. If you are in a sales call and a potential client is asking you, hey, who do you work for at the moment? Who are your clients? You don't have to be naming them. There are ways around showing your credibility without naming them, unless, of course, you've got that client's permission to talk about them a little bit.
Yeah, you could say instead, oh, I work with a real estate agent in the Wellington region, and these are the types of things that I do for them. So you don't actually have to say the client's name, but there's other ways that you can let people know who you're working for without having that loyalty sort of broken.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some industries that you might work in, which means that you actually have to be really careful about taking on more than one client within that same industry. So that's a loyalty thing as well, isn't it?
It is. And sometimes you might be a specialist in a niche sort of industry. Now, that's going to be very obvious to someone coming to you. Say you work just for builders. Now, they know you're going to have other builder clients. But it's really important not to, take a great idea from one of the clients that, they have some great IP or some templates and things like that they have introduced you to and you're working with them. Now, it would be really not okay for you to then take those templates and put the other builder's logo on and start using them for that client. Now, you could work with the other client and make something from scratch, absolutely, but you got to be really careful about IP and where your loyalties need to lie, because that is definitely one of the concerns that a client might have coming to you as well.
Yeah, and if in doubt, if you get approached by somebody and you already have a client within that kind of same industry or niche or whatever it is, look, go to your current client, your existing client, and just have a really open and honest chat and say, look, such and such, or I've got this other person that's made contact. How would you feel about me taking them on? Comes down to communication.
Absolutely. Next one, ignoring feedback.
This is a good one. I reckon, and I reckon you'd probably agree with me on this, Joe. Sometimes your biggest stuff-ups or the worst case scenarios when bad things happen with your clients can be your greatest learning, as long as you can hear what they're saying, take that feedback and learn from it.
Yeah, and this sort of feeds into that not learning from mistakes as well, and ignoring that feedback that you're getting from that client. So it's really important to listen to your client and hear what they are saying about things that you've stuffed up or where you haven't listened to what they were actually needing. And it's important to rectify these things as soon as possible. And if you know about the OARBED model, this is OAR, which is above the line, and BED, which is below the line. Now, if you make sure that when you're receiving that feedback, that you don't try and blame or have excuses or deny, but you're actually taking accountability, responsibility, and ownership. And you're taking that feedback and saying, okay, great, I'm going to do this better next. I'm really sorry that happened. This is how we're going to rectify it. This is the change in process I'm going to do, or I'm going to fix these mistakes and I'm not going to charge you. What are you going to do that takes ownership of that feedback? And, the worst thing that you could do is ignore the feedback, think that you know better, and, just not take it on at all.
Yeah, I mean, we're human beings. We're not robots. Humans make mistakes. And clients are really forgiving of mistakes and things that do go wrong, so long as you react in a way that you're owning it, you're rectifying it, you're moving on.
Yep.
Okay. Next up is lying or exaggerating your skills and experience.
Especially when you're first starting out, you
Yeah.
can really get into this trap again. Lots of traps that we're going to go through. Get in this trap of stretching the truth or lying or saying, yes, of course I can do that. Yes, I can do this for you. And it's really not something that you've done before and it's not in your skill set. That is a real trap to get into, because you are going to get caught out on that. And don't ever think that you have to do that. You have to lie and exaggerate to get the client. a client would be much more appreciative if you were really clear on what exactly it is that you would excel at and the things that you are really great at. And, it's very likely that they will appreciate that and say, okay, yeah, great, I'll give you these types of tasks. That's no problem, because we can get someone else to fill those gaps that you can't fill for me.
Yeah, over in the Members Club this month, our theme for the month is what clients really want. And this is something that comes up again and again and again when we talk to people that are looking for virtual assistants or have hired them and they're giving us feedback and whatnot. They just want honesty. They don't want a virtual assistant that's just going to be a yes man or a yes woman. They want you to be honest and upfront, and they want to use you for the things that you do best. They don't want you to kind of pretend that you can do it, and then you do the work and the client's going to immediately see that you have, very little skills or experience in that. So they're going to lose trust in you, I reckon.
Yeah, it's and from the other side of it too, like when I try and hire a virtual assistant, if I'm asking for a super expert payroll specialist who not just processes payroll, but can go in and fix errors and, wind back the clock and figure out what's gone wrong and, leave balances or something like that. Now, I would be absolutely gutted if someone put their hand up and said, yeah, I can do that for you. And then I found out that they just made the issue even more horrendous than what it already is, and, wasted time. And yeah, you have to make sure that you're not just desperate for clients and putting your hand up for anything, that you're actually putting your hand up for things that you do have skills and experience in already. And everyone does. Even if you haven't had any clients before, you still have skills and experience for what you've done in your career so far. So don't feel like you just have to keep putting your hand up for things when you just really know, hand on heart, that you don't have those skills and experience.
Yeah, it's not going to end well. And you're actually doing a disservice to the entire VA community. There are clients out there that have had bad experiences with virtual assistants who have fallen into this trap. And then they're wary about hiring another virtual assistant because of it.
And they tell other people.
Yeah, word of mouth, people, word of mouth. Okay. How to lose clients. You know what? You're going to lose a client if you, in that sales call or that first few weeks that you're working for them, you're pretending to be someone that you're not.
We're so strong on be yourself, be authentic, let your personality show through, talk about your strengths and weaknesses accurately and how they actually are for you in that first sales call, because you want to be attracting those people that know who you are and like who you are naturally, and warm to you, and like the personality style, how you're coming across, your vibe. That's the kind of client that you want to have, not a client where you have pretended to be someone else. They think that you're a certain way or have a certain vibe when you've just actually acted that and put that on. They're going to very quickly realize that you've sold them yourself in a really unauthentic way, and that's just not going to go well.
Yeah, just be yourself, please. Let's talk a little bit about abrasiveness and rudeness.
Sometimes you're going to have to give feedback to your client or talk to them about things that need to be done differently, or, you might be trying to give them some advice on teaching them an advice on something that you know lots about, like social media or something like that. You've got to do this in a way where your client feels like you're supporting them and you're on their team, rather than being a parent telling a child off. You've got to make sure that you're protecting your clients' insecurities, and, even though they might be a really successful business owner, every single person has those insecurities. There's going to be things that come up for them that trigger them And so you've got to make sure that you support them. When you're giving feedback, you don't have to be abrasive or rude. You can absolutely help them feel supported in the way that you're delivering that feedback.
Yeah, so have a think about, if we'll use Joe's example, a social media example. If you have seen something at the weekend that your client has posted or hasn't posted, something that they've done right or wrong, maybe don't send them a message immediately or a text or whatever it is saying, hey, what happened there? You should know better. That's going to get their backs up. They're going to get defensive. Once again, we're humans. Your clients are human beings. They have feelings. So just wait. Just hold off until your next weekly catch-up or fortnightly catch-up, however often you catch up with your clients. Wait until you're in the right setting and then bring it up and be persuasive, not abrasive.
I mean, if they have a really bad spelling mistake or error on a post, absolutely, you could message them and just say, hey, I noticed that you've got the word blah, blah, blah spelt wrong on there. I thought you might want to know so that you can quickly fix it. No big deal. Just a super quick, hey, I noticed this. That's a nice, helpful message, not a, hey, I see that you posted something totally wrong. That's not okay, and it's going to be a really bad look for you, and your credibility is going to be shot.
Yeah.
There's a way.
It's the big stuff. It's the bigger conversations you need to have in the right setting when they're in the right headspace in order to talk about that and accept that they may not be doing something the best way.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to lose clients if you don't follow up.
There's two parts to this. One is not following up a lead that hasn't become a client yet. Like, absolutely. And we're going to be doing a separate podcast episode on this because I know that it's an issue for many of you.
Yeah.
So it's really important to follow up. Absolutely. But then when you have a client and they have asked you to do something and you might have responded back to them and said, hey, cool, this is the information that I need. And then they haven't responded. If you just leave that and never follow them up, that is a really bad experience for that client. They are relying on you to be super proactive and take ownership of a task or a project that they've given you and to follow them up. They might have forgotten, might not be on their radar. You need to follow them up and make sure that you're getting from them what you need to be able to deliver on that project. You can't just be like, oh, it's their fault because they didn't come back to me. Like, that is not helpful at all.
No.
And they are looking for you to be proactive, 100%.
That's why they've hired you. They've hired you because they are busy people who need your help to get on top of all those things they need to do. I have virtual assistants that I outsource to, and I do need following up. Sometimes I need following up 2 or 3 times, and I like it. I'm like, oh, thank you. I needed that follow-up. I needed that reminder because I've got so much on my plate. I really appreciate it when they do that. If they kind of sent me something and then didn't get back to me, I'd be like, well, I've given that to you. That's on your plate now. So you do need to remind me. So yeah, follow up. It's so, so important.
And follow through, follow things through right to the end. That's what I love when I hire a virtual assistant. Next one, being unorganized. This seems so obvious, but we know that there are virtual assistants who are completely unorganized. This is what they rely on you to be. They potentially the client is potentially the one who's unorganized. Why would they want to hire someone who's unorganized as well? That's just a whole unorganized mess across everything. You have to be organized. You have to have systems. You have to have a process. You have to use tools. You have to write things down. You need to keep a track of things. You need to know what your deadlines are, all of those things. This is so, so important. This is virtual assistants 101.
Yeah.
You have to be organized.
Yeah, you do. I've got nothing to add to that.
Point made.
Point made. Okay. This is a good one, Joe. Pricing. So you can lose clients if you're pricing incorrectly. Now, that could be overcharging or undercharging.
Yeah, you want to make sure that your pricing meets the value that you are providing to a client. If you are underpricing, the client doesn't actually value you as much as you would like them to.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "Oh, it's only X number of dollars an hour. Like, I can't have too many expectations," or like, "Oh, they mustn't be that good." Um, and they're going to set that sort of bar at wherever you've priced it. Now, if you also overprice, this can be an issue too. One, you might not get anyone taking up that pricing,
Mm-hmm.
or because you can't communicate the true value of that.
Mm.
And if you are overpriced, then that client is going to be very, they're going to notice that timesheet very detailed. They are going to make sure that they review the timesheet. They were going to ask a lot more questions in terms of, well, like, how long is that going to take? Where are you up to on that? Can you give me an estimate on that? And or I don't want to pay for communication on, all of these issues that come into it, because they are going to have very, very high expectations, and they are going to naturally want you to be way more efficient than is reasonable. So you've got to get that pricing balance right.
Yeah. And if you're first starting out and you're thinking, oh, look, the only way or a quick way for me to get my first few clients is to charge a really, really low rate. Look, there's going to be a lot of people out there like Joe and myself that look at a super, super low rate and immediately think, well, you get what you pay for. So what's wrong with this virtual assistant?
Yeah.
But she can actually afford to be charging out at that lower rate. For me, that's a red flag.
Definitely. It's a red flag for me too. So yeah, please, please, please don't underprice. It's not a good way to get a first client at all.
No, it's not. Right, we're up. This is our last one. This is the last one on our list, and we've left it last because it's the big one. You hear us talk about this over and over, and we probably actually mention it once a week in every single podcast episode. It all comes down to communication. So if you are communicating poorly with your clients, you are going to lose them.
Every single issue that arises in your VA business is always around communication.
Yeah.
You have to have a really good system for how you are going to communicate. In one system for that client that you're going to use, it could be WhatsApp, it could be Signal, it could be email, text, phone calls, whatever you have agreed with the client. There needs to be one system, one thing that's going to be the main point of contact, like how you're going to contact each other and communicate. It's really, really important. And give your client updates.
Yes.
They don't want to give you a task and then not hear from you for a whole week and wonder, are they doing it? Have they done it? Do they know how to do it? Do they have questions? Is it going to be delivered on time? I'm really relying on this to be delivered on time because I need to do whatever else after that. They're going to be freaking out inside, wondering what's going on. Like, are you even working? They have no idea. They can't see you. Really important to give them the updates.
Yes.
Now, Sam, you've got a really good way of knowing whether you're communicating enough or not, right?
Yeah. This should be your biggest takeaway in terms of communication, in my mind. If your clients are having to reach out to you with messages or emails or phone calls saying, "Hey, did you get that?" or "Hey, how are you going with that particular task I sent you?" If you're getting messages, communication like that from your clients, you have got a problem in terms of your processes.
Yeah. And especially up front in that first week or so with that client too. If you have had the handover with the client and then you haven't spoken to them for a week, that's a really big issue that you have. They need daily communication in that first week to make sure that they get really comfortable and build that trust with you, that they know that you're doing what you say you are meant to be doing. That's just more comfortable and relaxing for them if they know what's going on.
Yeah, and it's same if you have a waiting list. If you're a virtual assistant that specializes in a service that's more project based and you have a waiting list of people, you might take on a couple of projects a month or whatever it is, you want to have some type of communication process in place where you are checking in. So if they're willing to wait 3 months, 6 months for you to do their branding package or their website or whatever it is, you don't want to completely leave them hanging for that period of time. You want to still be nurturing them and checking in.
Definitely. I'm going to add a few little bonus ones as well. One way to lose clients is to turn up late for pre-book sessions, or just constantly be late or not turn up to things that you've agreed to. And also needing the client to repeat and give you passwords again when they have already done that. Oh, this is one of the things that really grates clients.
Yes.
If they have given you or told you something and you have to go and ask for it again, that is a really bad look, because have you lost that password? Have you got it written somewhere that someone else can find it? Like, that's a really big security issue. And also not listening. Please listen to your clients. They want to feel heard. They want you to do things correctly because you have listened really well. So try and use your ears more than your mouth when you're dealing with those clients. Absolutely.
What a great way to end. We hope that helps.
So tune in next time. We have these podcast episodes coming out every single Wednesday, so make sure that you listen to those. And for anyone who is wanting to get personalized support from Sam and I, we would love for you to jump into the Members Club. We'll make sure that we drop a link down in the show notes. We'll chat to you next Wednesday. Thanks to everyone for listening to this episode of the Sam and Joe VA Show. If you'd like to find out more, head to the Savvy School website to check out the amazing Members Club and find more free resources.
You can find us at savvyschool.co.nz.